Good morning and welcome back to the shed. I'm very excited to be talking to you from the allotment today instead of from my desk, which is where I've spent most of the winter talking to you from. This is not, I don't think this is going to be a tour, or at least not yet. That's not what I am here to do in this moment. I have about an hour. The sun is shining. It's not shining on the allotment, unfortunately. Being north facing, the sun has already passed through my garden. It's been really cold in the UK, really hard frost and persistent frost and snow for a week or 10 days or so, which is a lot for us. Not a lot for other regions, I understand, but it's quite a lot for us. So even if I'd wanted to, there was absolutely no point doing in the garden. But it's since warmed up. All the snow and ice has melted. It's now very wet everywhere as a consequence. Even in here, I think the shed roof might be leaking because there's just a lot of water in here. Either that or it's a lot of condensation. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to monitor it. But the carpet that I'm stood on is soaked. There's water on the potting tables. But it just kind of is what it is for now. I'm not doing anything about that in this moment. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, I made an impromptu visit to the garden centre. I wanted to get some bedding plants to have just some colour in the garden instead of all of this sort of grey and white as it has been with all the frost and snow. And I picked up a couple of things, so I want to plant those out. I also, let me just go get it because it's outside. You back? I also found a mega surprise bargain in my local nursery that I was not expecting, and it is this pot of 5 raspberry canes for £10, £9.99 to be precise. Look, if you don't believe me, £9.99 for 5 raspberry canes. I have never seen that price for canes ever before. I've seen these pots in the garden centre, but I never realised they had multiple canes inside them. I think the ones later in the season are only one, and they're normally about £5 a pot. So 10 quid for 5, really good price. And they had loads of different varieties. I have no idea where I'm going to put this. I want to have raspberries, but I didn't expect it to be now. So I only got this one pot, and this is a variety called Glen Doll. They are a summer fruiting raspberry, very heavy cropping apparently. So I've got to figure out where to put those in the garden. So this has just spurred me on to come out and do some things. Normally at this time of year, particularly if you watched my sort of early spring videos from last season, I'm very slow and zen about the garden at this time of year. There's not loads of things that I want to do. But this year I have a little bit more energy. Maybe the weather has been a bit warmer. Maybe there's been a bit more sunshine. I don't really know what has caused it. But I'm ready to get on with some things in the garden. So I'm going to just, because I don't know where these are going to go yet, I'm just going to transfer them out of this pot and just pot them up individually into something like this. And then they can stay here for as long as I want them to, till I'm ready for them to go. I think I've got enough. There's 2 there. I'm sure I've got 5 lying around the garden. I'm going to plant up my bedding plants, which I'll show you in a second, and I was going to sow some sweet peas, but for the 3rd time I have left the sweet pea seeds upstairs, so I will run and grab them if I've got time at the end. In fact, let me go and just do that right now. I am back with sweet pea seeds. These are just the leftovers from the seeds that I planted before Christmas in October or November, I think, and let's just get those in. I'm going to use, can't remember where everything is, it's been so long since I've been in here. I'm going to use one of my deep root trainers and just some, oh, it's just such a mess. I've decided that this is the year that the greenhouse is coming out of the shed, and in doing that, that will force a huge reorganisation of the space, but until then everything's just chaos. Going to use, just found last year's dahlias that I forgot to plant. Going to just use an ordinary seed sowing, seed sowing compost. As I said previously, it's not necessary to use proper seed sowing compost. You can take any general purpose compost and sieve it. That's what I used to do. But since I've moved into this growing space, I use a lot more topsoil, well-rotted manure, mulchy type topsoils rather than multi-purpose compost, because I don't have so many containers. And so I got into the habit of buying seed sowing compost because I only really needed it for sowing seeds. I recently checked out how the early sweet peas that I sowed are doing in the root trainers in the little mini greenhouse outside the shed, and they're doing very well. In fact, I trimmed them back again just to shorten the green stems so that they don't get weedy, and trimming them back helps to sort of establish stronger, thicker stems, because they're going to be out there for another couple of months. Okay, I have filled all of these, and I'm going to, bear with, false alarm. My camera is recently doing this thing where it just starts filming on its own, and I don't know how it's doing it or when it's going to, so when I edit this footage it might be quite odd. Okay, so I've just got a selection of sweet peas. I think I had 4 or 5 different varieties that I've just mixed together to get a random selection. I'm popping 4 in each root trainer, 1 in each corner, so that I can divide them easily later for planting. And depending on how many I have left at the end, I might come back round and pop in a 5th. It depends. I might save what I've got left and do a 3rd sowing in like April time. I know sweet peas are really popular and all kinds of allotment blog type people are always talking about it, but really it's because they are so easy to grow and they're such a joy, and they flower for a long time for almost no effort, and they smell amazing. So why wouldn't you go absolutely bananas for the sowing of sweet peas? I've been particularly inspired by my choices to come out and try and get some colour in the garden from a garden writer that I follow called Letitia Makeloof. She has an Instagram, although she's been quite quiet over there recently, and she has a Substack, which is Letitia Makeloof nothing important, I think. Nothing very important, or something along those lines. And she talks about gardening, and she also wrote my favourite ever gardening book, which was coincidentally titled Sweet Peas for Summer, which is what made me think about it. If I remember, I shall pop a link to her Substack below. I don't know if the book's in print anymore, but you might be able to get a second-hand copy again if I remember and I've got time when I'm editing. I'll sort you out a link. Nearly done. And then I can flip the camera and show you. Okay, so there we have it. One in each corner. And this is what's left. I think I'm going to leave those and just do one last sowing later in the year. I'm just going to top these off with some soil and put them outside. Ideally, the best place for the raspberries is in this corner, but that is where the compost bins are. That's not a problem. It's what I would plant them in. Under the tree there, everything just gets much drier than it needs to because the big trees suck up all the water out of the ground, so I don't typically like to plant things direct there. I've got another of those pig pen beds, but it's too big to fit there, so that's not really a solution either. The reason that this is the best corner is because this is the sunniest corner in the garden. Being north facing, that's where the sun goes first thing in the morning, and in the summer days stays there all day. I hope you can actually see me and I'm not just half ahead. The bedding plants that I got from the garden centre are 2 punnets of pansies. This one's a scarlet mix, and this one is an autumn bronze mix. I'm going to put them in a pot, and I'm going to put that pot outside my office window. And then I also got these small narcissus baby daffodils in the green, and I got that because before Christmas I planted out my tree, and I'd really like something to go in the ground under the tree, but I was too late to buy daffodil bulbs, and I didn't want tulips there. So when I saw these as just a tray, they're supposed to go in pots, but I'm just going to put them in the ground and hope for the best. I've got this nice shallow bowl, which I think these plants will look really nice and just sort of cascading over the outside. Traditionally you would put can't remember the name of the thing, something over that hole. I don't have anything, so it's not going to happen. And I'm not going to worry about it. I might just put some potting grit in the bottom instead. This is a container basket planting mix, which has added food in it to contain plants. Again, not absolutely necessary. Multi-purpose compost is fine. I'm mixing up the potting grit into the compost for extra drainage. The next important step for these is to take any flowers off. That will encourage a lot of new growth and new flowers. that is going to be all I have time for a minute. I have to wash up and be at an appointment soon. So, yeah, feels good to be outside, doing things in the fresh air, enjoying the little bit of sunshine that I can see. I'll hope to catch you again shortly.